So just let me get my file quickly. Now I'm getting the hang of this Teams. So yeah,
Do you find it easier?
No, I'm used to Zoom.
Okay.
So yeah, but I've worked with Teams earlier. But yeah, for me, Zoom, I'm used to Zoom, but yeah. Teams is not difficult. I had just problem downloading on the app on my computer.
Okay, I see.
But I'm using the online version, so for me it's fine.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, thank you, Candice, for the opportunity to speak to you guys on this topic that I've chose about the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, and you is my topic for this evening. So I just want to introduce myself a bit. I'm Casper. I'm a family man, author, speaker, transformation life coach, and a relationship coach. I was single till my mid-30s about, and I've met a wonderful woman, Audrey, and we're getting married, and we have 3 daughters, Penny, Ingrid, and Lihaila. Yeah, and it was nice. I was single for a long time. Didn't know where to go, didn't know what to do, just floating along, doing this, doing that. Life was good, having fun with friends, but I didn't have a direction. And yeah, and like they said, when you find your partner and you know it's the right partner, everything falls into plan, or falls into the puzzle fit together. So during my marriage years, I became more responsible and take on more responsibilities for the family and the kids and everything. So I start finding my life's purpose, finding my identity, stuff like that. So and I just discovered that everyone has have a purpose in life and have identity in life. So, and for me, it is very important to find your own identity, to know who you are, because we are not the same as each other. You have your own identity, you have your own fingerprint. Everything is you are unique in every certain way. And for me, your purpose in life is to serve each other. We serve one another, and that's for me makes the world go around. And my main thing is, if we understand each other's uniqueness, the world will be better. Will be a better place, and peace, and more harmony. So yeah, that is about me. Hi Abraham, welcome, and Louise, welcome here.
Thank you for accepting me.
Yes, you're more than welcome, and yeah, thanks for joining us. I've just spoken about myself a bit, and to find we are all unique, and we have our own life's purpose, and the life's purpose is to serve each other. That is for me what makes the world go around, and for me a big thing is to understand each other. To understand each other's uniqueness, especially in this country that we are living in. We are all different races and different cultures and stuff like that. So I think when we look at harmony and we look at peace, is for me the main thing is we have to understand each other's uniqueness. So yeah, my topic tonight, like I said, it's about the COVID-19 pandemic and you. Let me quickly go to my next slide. The influence what the COVID-19 pandemic have on your emotional well-being. it is for me very important because COVID have the effects that what COVID have on people is we have when they said it is lockdown, and with lockdown comes certain stuff. So I put in about three topics. The one that I look at is isolation. It is maybe the country lockdown or as a COVID sickness. So that is one. The other one that I was thinking of was fear. We have a lot of fear during the COVID time. Fear for maybe getting the vaccination, fear of getting sick. For me, I have had COVID, and I didn't even expected it because I was working sort of alone on the farm and I didn't see people. But eventually I got COVID. The symptoms was like a flu. I thought, yeah, well, that was just a flu symptom. But back in my mind, I had the fear of maybe it was COVID. And my inner being said, well, go to the doctor, go test yourself. Because if you start getting more sick and more sick, maybe there were people around us, people I know, that actually died of this COVID. And there's that fear that comes into you. And I mean, fear is deadly. I mean, you didn't have to get sick, but if you have fear, it will make your immune system worse, and then you can maybe get more sick and more sick. And the other thing I want to discuss tonight is triggers. So I don't know if you guys know about triggers, what the word means about the trigger, emotional trigger, but we will talk about it later. So in this isolation period, I want to talk about isolation now, is what did you miss the most? What did you miss in this isolation period? But I wrote down here, I'm a person, like I said earlier, my individuality is, I like to hug. I like to embrace people. I like to, especially my children, I want to hug them and kiss them and embrace them. So for me, it was difficult when I was sick not to give hugs and so stuff like that. And the other thing for me was one-on-one conversation with people when you're isolated, and a face-to-face interaction. I mean, we are all human beings, and we want to interact with other people. We want to be in the same room with other people. Just that vibe that we have and that we experience, and that frequency of other people, the joy or the laughter and everything. For me, that was very bad. If you can't have, we're totally alone in your house or in your room or wherever. And for me, that was very, very sort of bad, if I can say it like that, because we as humans want to interact. We as humans want to spend time together. And this isolation period for me was a bit bad, not having all of that. So if I can ask you guys just to interact a bit as well in this conversation, what do you think the isolation have on you guys? Like I said, for me, it was like what I just explained. And does any of you guys have maybe something else to contribute to this isolation? What did you miss more in this isolation? Anyone? Yes, Candace.
I am, so for me, the difficulty. So I'm a bit of an ambivert. I don't know if you've heard of ambivert, maybe. I mean, of course, but I do like interaction, but on my own terms, if that makes sense. So I've learned within this period that it's okay to be alone if you're, in that space and everything, but if you're a person who enjoys a little bit of interaction, it's very difficult. I've seen people in my work environment that really battle coming from extroverted to being in this isolation. And I've seen people who are introverted naturally also start to battle a little bit when they can't connect. There's something about connecting face to face and hand to hand.
Yeah.
And despite whether you are introverted, and it's a very scary thing when you have friends over, for example, and your friend, you got to do that awkward little dance, like, okay, the rules, remember the rules kind of thing. And it's I mean, before it was so spontaneous and you could connect soul to soul. Now you have to watch everything. So, and I've seen it with my kids as well, because we took them out of school and we put them in homeschooling for the worst of it. And we're sitting here thinking, we're going to put them back in normal school, public school, because with interaction it's fine, but without the interaction, I mean, their energy has nowhere to go.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So anyway, that's just my 2 cents worth. I think that it's quite harsh on a human interactive level.
Yeah, and while we speak, your emotions and your emotional well-being, I mean, except for if you are an introvert as well, I mean, there is still some emotions that, like you said, your energy must go somewhere, even if you're an introvert. So, yeah, what did you think about that? It was hard.
Yeah, no, it was. Well, it is. At first, I enjoyed it a lot. I was like, I don't want to see anybody. I'm fine. But afterwards, you kind of learn, wait a minute, people still need people. We still need each other.
Yes, most definitely, yes. Yes, thank you. Abraham and Louise, do you have anything to contribute?
Yes, I for about 2 weeks just sat in one spot with the pajamas and whatever and just couldn't move. I was just utterly weirded out by the whole thing. I didn't go to work. It was so weird. Like I go to work every day, get up at 5 o'clock. It was like I couldn't adjust to this idea of being at home. It was so nice, but it was so weird.
Yeah.
And on my side, I was going through a bit of a change in my life. I think my ex-wife couldn't handle the distance that she had from the balance of her family, and we moved quite far from the family thereafter. So it took a toll on my marriage because she was missing hugging and meeting her mom and so forth, and everyone was quite serious about taking COVID seriously. So there was fear, there was apprehension, there was a lot of uncertainty, not knowing what to do with the children. And then also I had kids that were teenagers, they were missing their friends, and my daughter was in love and she couldn't see her boyfriend on terms as used to, and so things were all a bit difficult during COVID. So there was that fear, that apprehension, and all of these negative feelings and vibes.
Yeah, and yes, there is, like I said, some fear and on your emotional well-being as well. I mean, it is hard because you can't give hugs, like you said, your girlfriend wants a boyfriend and everything like that. And yeah, it is hard to stay strong. I must tell you, it is not easy. Yeah,
definitely. And then also the other thing is there was uncertainty in the environment of working as well. You weren't sure how to see your clients, you don't know how to greet your clients. Some people are doing the elbow, some people are doing the fist pump, some people are still doing hugs. If they lunge forward to you to give you a hug, you were used to, you haven't seen them for months, you felt compelled to do that. You understand? learning everyone else's habits and understanding your own boundaries, and when it's safe enough for you to drop your guard on your own boundaries, on the boundaries that you set for yourself as well. All of those things there. It still is a difficult period. A lot of people still don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, and they call it the new norm. I mean, we're gonna see through it a bit later during my presentation. It is a new mindset. Where are we going from here? I've seen on the first time when we have COVID, when they said, well, it is total lockdown, schools are closed, and it was last year, March, my kids didn't get sick. And normally during the start of the winter, they are getting sick. So we think, well, they get it from their school. I mean, the other kids, interaction with the other kids and stuff. So there is an issue about interact with people, interact with sick people, stuff like that. So, I mean, the new norm. I mean, I will not like it to wear a mask forever. I mean, it suffocates me. But if you can prevent sickness, or you can, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's the new norm, maybe not. So yeah, there will maybe a change in a new direction after this, when the COVID and the dust go down. So yeah, we will see where we are heading. So yeah. Oh, thank you, Ibrahim. My next slide. Like I said, where am I now? Isolation, this one. Fear. We've talked about fear, Abraham, you talked about fear now. The fear of dying. Lots of people, and fear, like I said on my last line, I said fear leads to stress, and stress leads to a low immune system. And that is very, very powerful, because I've written a book as well on letting go of the past and stress. You get level 1 stress and level 2 stress and level 3 stress, I think. The more you stress, the more your immune system go down or shut down, and they are more likely to get sick. So it is all a bad circle of fear. So now you're sitting with fear. I was, like I said, I have had COVID, and I was lying in the house, and lots of people, or the people I've talked to, and the doctor said, as long as your oxygen level doesn't go under 80 or 85 or around, no, not 80, yeah, around just below 90, between 70 and just below 90, it is hazardous, because and that it's like a fear that goes into me. I've almost have the oximeter on my finger for the whole time, just to check my oxygen levels, because that is thing I can work on. But that is a fear I've had in me, and I've read about people in town that die of this COVID, and they was actually strong. They was healthy, and everything was fine with them. And yeah, but that is a type of fear that was in me, and yeah, it attacks your immune system, because you have fear, and then after that you will getting more sick and more sick. So yeah, for me it was very, very bad to have fear. But that is one of the things on your emotional well-being, is if you have fear, even if it's not this COVID. I mean, fear in general as well. Going fear over the take of the vaccine or not. It's a decision you have to make. The social media, the fake news, everything that we heard brings fear in us, and fear of getting sick, stuff like that. So, and even not especially in this COVID time, but I mean, fear of your finances, fear of anything else. If you have fear, it leads to stress, and stress leads to a low immune system, so you'll get sick just because you fear. So yeah, that is for me one big thing. It is difficult to control, difficult to let go of fear. So yeah, I think it is just a thing you have to work on, and just breathe in, breathe out, relaxed. And because sometimes when you, at the end of the week, you are fearing during this specific week, at the end of the week, you said, well, nothing has happened. So I actually just have fear for nothing. And everything work out fine. So, but yeah, I think we are fearing us that that we must get rid of. So my next one is triggers. Well, I've spoken a bit earlier about triggers. Trigger, for those who don't know about triggers or doesn't know what is triggers, a trigger is a reminder of emotional painful experience of the past. It is a certain situation or moment that causes you to explode, be heartbroken, or grief-stricken. So emotional triggers consist of thoughts, feelings, and events that you can think of in a certain incident. It can be smell, a sound, music, taste, physical feeling, or incidents that has happened that reminds you of the past. It can be also trigger an emotional inside you, emotion inside you, and instantly you act in any way, and you can stop it. So it is, for instance, anger, getting irritated often, feeling abandoned, feeling rejected, stuff like that. So, and the thing that trigger for me is, if there's a trigger in you, you must think what it is, and the trigger, the thing that triggers you is the thing you need to heal. For me, and especially in this COVID time, when we have spoken a bit earlier, when you're alone and you're getting irritated, you're getting angry, you're feeling abandoned, you're feeling rejection, you're feeling rejected because you are lonely. So if that is a trigger in you, and maybe, for instance, if your husband or wife or child do something, and all of a sudden, like an instance, you snap, you get angry, or you get irritated, or you're feeling abandoned, or you're feeling rejected. So that triggering you is something you need to heal, because you must go look in your past. Like I said, the last line, it can be a childhood wound. If something happened in your childhood, for instance, if you have rejection in your childhood, it will surface now in this COVID time, in this isolation time. And that is very thing that you have to work on, especially in your emotional well-being, to grow and to develop yourself, is to work on your triggers. So yeah, for me, triggers is a very important thing in your emotional well-being, in your growth personally, in your personal development. It is for me a very important thing, because that show us where we need to heal. If there's a trigger in you, of something triggers you, even when you're back in at work, and a colleague or your boss or do something, and you snap immediately, you must go and see, why does it happen? Does something happen in your childhood? I mean, you will not remember it, but you can ask your subconscious mind, when you have your quiet time, or when you're meditating,
Yeah,
you can just
remember. Like, that's a month.
you can just say again, Abraham.
Sorry?
Yeah, if you, do you want to say something?
No. Sorry, I didn't realize I was unmuted. I was talking
Okay.
to my wife.
No problem. No problem. You're more than welcome to speak.
She's
Or
offering
to
me
contribute.
she's offering me hot chocolate. Sorry about it.
How can I have as well? Okay, no, cool. So yeah, it is for me. Trigger is very important. especially in your well-being. It is like you didn't know there was a wound, and that trigger open up a wound again, and that wound is something you need to heal. So yeah, triggers for me, it is very important if you want to grow in your personal development. And so that is, like I said, a thing you need to heal. So yeah, let me quickly see my next. Where we go now? Okay, yeah. In retrospect, that is the three things is what I've jotted down. What was for me difficult in this pandemic. So in retrospect, when we go back, look back, what did you learn from this pandemic? Was my question, and was it a good or bad experience? Did you grow personally or spiritually during this period in time? So I just want to ask you guys again, can you just maybe contribute, do something or say something? What, in retrospect, what did you all think? What was this in this COVID time? Was it a good experience or a bad experience? Did you learn something from this experience? And will you grow out of it? Will you maybe grow or develop more on this COVID? That you have something that you can learn from. So anyone maybe just contribute, say something about any bad or good experience? Yes, Candice.
Sorry, just finding unmute.
Okay.
So if I can go through it sequentially, what did you learn from the COVID pandemic? I think I'm still learning. I've learned to take one step at a time, because the overwhelm can be just that. It's very overwhelming in different aspects, not only for myself, but for the empathic thing that I do with people. So I feel it in my kids, and I feel it in my husband, and I feel it in my family. So I've learned to take it one step at a time. I've also learned to put boundaries in place. So boundaries was one of them. I think that was quite a big highlight. So there's been some good experiences and bad experiences. So but all of them relate back to learning. The good experience was just getting a more intimate look at the family and the family dynamic, because being at work, and I work quite far, you don't realize just how much you miss out on. So I think that's brought a new determination within me. And then spiritually, I've grown significantly in a sense that, I mean, I'd done more courses with the coaching. I've started this Mindful Wednesdays, and I think I've learned to work through my heart more than my mind. So
yeah,
it's just my little bit.
So you said there was good and bad experiences during this time, or did you think there was more good or more bad? Like I hear what you say is that actually there was growth in this pandemic.
Yes.
It was not the overall bad thing. I mean, we had to isolate, and we had to stay home, and we had to not interact with other people and stuff like that. But still, in that whole pandemic thing, there was something good out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was not totally bad. And there was sickness, yes, but in the sickness there was some good as well coming out from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is nice. If you can grow out of it, if you can learn, like there's a saying I think that says there's no thing as a mistake, it is just a learning curve.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is the thing is it's just if there was some growth, then you can change your mind to know things will go better and things will grow and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree there.
Yes,
Yeah,
Abraham, yes.
yes, this slide is a very interesting slide, and I like it quite a bit because it prompts you to think deep and to really, actually, the word retrospect is perfect. It's exactly what the slide indicates, and it's just me thinking about it has created such deep emotion within me about how this pandemic has worked out for me. First of all, for me, it was a great thing because I was stuck in a marriage of 20 years, which I thought was very fruitful because out of their 3 kids came, and life was basically good. But, I was stuck with a habit of,
Mm.
of this marriage. This marriage was a habit. And with going into a nervous breakdown, and her leaving, it jolted me. I went into a depression, and then a lot of good came out of it thereafter.
Yeah.
I got out of the depression. I got remarried. I started looking at life differently,
Mm.
as it was a habit. It's now exciting. It's now nice for you wait for the evenings, you wait for the weekends, you
Yeah,
wait
yeah.
for incidences and so forth. So they're taking a life for granted. So what
Mm.
COVID did for me, it was like a surgeon taking away cancer.
Yeah,
No one
yeah,
wants
yeah.
operation, and the healing process is quite lengthy, but
Mm.
you remove cancer and you have a better quality of life thereafter. So
That's
for
correct,
me,
yes.
it wasn't as bad as probably for everybody else. And then
Mm.
I'm opposite to obviously where Candace is saying, and I can appreciate everything that she's saying. She's saying it showed her how much of family time she's
Mm.
losing by being at work. And on my side, I had lost my entire family,
Yeah.
even though I was close to my children, but my wife's kept them away from me, and I can't visit them. I'm going through obviously social work and everything, and in time to come, I'll be able to get to see them again. But this pandemic didn't show me how. In fact, in the first few months, probably I can agree with Candace from my side. Not that I don't agree with her at all. Wholeheartedly, yes, it does show you how much you miss out. But I realized how much I missed out the first few months before they all just left, because they left in September. So I had in September to be able to understand family life. But at that time, I was going through obviously other issues with my teenage daughter. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that then so was it a good or bad experience? You know, at the end of the day, the cancer was removed, and there's no
Mm.
value in removing cancer.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it gives you a renewed life. So on that note, I'll say that. And then, did you grow personally and or spiritually during this period or not? So I mean, you definitely grow. First of all, from everyone's perspective, everyone lost someone that they didn't
Mm.
expect losing through to this pandemic, and everyone that was skeptical about this pandemic, they actually had to had to get to grips with it. So that's on understanding, your government, on
Mm.
understanding the planet as a whole, on
Mm.
understanding people's ideas of greed, and whether they're forcing this vaccine down, or do we need to take it, or what precautions are we going to take precautions. And then also, whether you are a vaxxer or non-vaxxer, or whether you believe in the pandemic or not, even if you didn't believe in it, you also respected the other person's view that they believe in it, and that you're not going to greet them, and you're not going to sneeze and cough in
Mm.
front of everybody and so forth. So there was a balance of learning society and not taking people for granted. That I found quite big as well. And then spiritually, look, I grew spiritually through the pandemic because obviously removed the cancer, but because I had to get closer to God, because who else was going to help me through the situation? You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
My situation was not COVID. My situation was the loss of my family, but due to COVID. And I lost family not in death, but in
Yeah, yeah.
divorce.
Yes,
So
yes.
That's I like the slide quite a bit. It was quite deep. It was quite nice. Brought up a lot of emotions. And I hope I'm gonna be able to sleep well tonight.
Yeah, shame, man. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, but still as there is some growth, I still see there is some recovery, stuff like that. And I think what makes it hard is in a divorce, you still have to see the person. You still have to see them maybe in a shop or weekends or whatever when you exchange kids or whatever. But in death, it is a final. They said a goodbye, and I will never see you again, and you can go on with your life. But if you go on with a divorce, it will make it a bit difficult to go on. And so yeah. And thank you, Abraham. Thank you for your contribution. Louise, anything for your side?
Yes, yes, Casper. Yeah, I think it stopped me in my tracks, as I say, totally, and it caused me to look at a lot of things differently. Namely, that one cannot really, or I realized I cannot expect anything to continue the way it did before, and I can't expect anything to, to be the way I expect it to be. It will not happen again, I think. And so it's just like that realization for me that it's out of my control completely. I cannot effect any control over it. All I can do is help myself, control myself, help those around me if I can, be of use some way, continue my counseling as much as I could, but I'm not an online person, so that doesn't really, I don't like that either. But I had to engage with that a bit. But it made me stop completely and just basically shut down in a way. And slow down, everything slow. I had to slow everything down, including my thoughts and myself and my actions and everything. So from that perspective, it really taught me that, I am not at all in control of anything. And it was a hard thing to accept this, that life is going to be different in lots of ways. And also anything can happen. I don't know what's going to happen. So, and spiritually, I think I had to think about, my belief has generally been that things are the way they're supposed to be in the greater whole, in the universe, in the universal space.
Yes.
But that was a hard one to come to terms with, that it is the way it's supposed to be. And I grappled with that, and I'm still grappling with that. I don't know. Sometimes I doubt that, like me. But what option do I have but to believe that it is the way it's supposed to be? And if it isn't the way it's supposed to be, I can do nothing about it. So that's yeah. So it's a sort of a resignation, but out of that comes a day by day, like Candace said, one step at a time, one breath at a time, one minute at a time, until you get through a period of time that you can say, well, I've gotten through this time retrospectively. And so maybe I carry on, let's hope, day by day, and maybe I don't, and that will be the end. And it's sort of like an acceptance, I would say. It forces me to come to it. I don't always feel acceptance. Sometimes I feel angry. Sometimes I feel very disempowered. But generally, most of the time, I manage to get back into some equilibrium. And I've had to use my own counseling methods for myself. And actually, that was quite interesting to realize I don't even use it for myself a lot of the time.
And as long as there is hope, I think hope is a huge thing as well. I didn't put it in my slides tonight, but I just think of it like you were speaking now. Hope, to have hope. I mean, in your belief system, in your personal growth, there must be hope. Even if it is small, even if you wake up the morning and you still think and believe there will be hope for the day. I mean, maybe you can be sick or whatever happened during the day or during the past pandemic. There must be hope. Hope will bring us through, and hope will take us through till to the new norm. I don't know, but there must be hope. So yeah, and the next slide I have here is where from here. For me, I put this down. How will I make my life better? So it is a question for everyone. It is not a universal question. You must answer it yourself. And what I put down here is healing and dealing with your triggers. I've just spoken a bit earlier about triggers. It is the trigger is that wind that was lying underneath the surface, and COVID and the isolation time and the emotional time that you have in COVID just scratch the wound open again and it starts bleeding again. So that bleeding, you must put a plaster on. That plaster is healing. So we must heal and deal with our triggers. And the trigger is just the thing that said, well, that is what you have to heal. It is anger maybe, or it is rejection, or stuff like that. So that is how I have to heal. My next one here is get a new outlook on the world. Ibrahim, you've touched on it a little bit now. Politics, especially in the time we are living now. And my question here is, will it change anything if you are getting angry on the government or what happened now? So the whole question is about your emotions. We heard lots and lots of stuff on the news about the politics going on now. So will it change everything or anything if you're getting angry on the politics? For me personally, I don't know. I'm over that. I stop reading the news, or if I see something, looking at News 24 on my phone, I just select some stuff I want to read. But for me, it is stuff happened, and they can go on and whatever. But for me personally, it will not change anything. So I stopped getting angry with them and stopped throwing stones. So it will sort out itself, I think. It will take time, but the good will happen. The good will rule. The good will overrule the bad, and that will change everything. So yeah, for me, personal health and hygiene when going to the work or shops, for me it was a thing as well. And to think about it, like I said, the new outlook on the world, sanitize, washing your hands, wearing a mask. I mean, when COVID is done, what will happen then? On your personal hygiene, on your personal health, will you wash your hands more? I mean, in the past, maybe you didn't wash your hands. You just go to the shop and touch a trolley, and when you're done, you just wipe your nose with your hand. And so we didn't think of it. But in this COVID time, I think we must think about our health as well. And small things like wiping your hands more, washing your hands regularly. I don't say sanitize every time you went to the shop, but I mean, it is something you can put in your handbag, whatever. So you can do that as well. And my last line there is fear of things you can't change. That is a big thing. We spoke about it earlier. The things you can't change. So you must start to recognize things that give you fear and start to work on that and think of it and say, well, it's only going to make my life worse. So why do I fear? I mean, I can't change it. If you're in dire straits with your finances, for instance, and you know, well, I only have this amount to the end of the month. So why do you fear? I mean, you can do nothing about it. Just try to, if you start to think positive, maybe things will happen for you. And maybe a person will help you with something or whatever. And then at the end of the week or end of the month, you said, well, I'm through it. A week back, I think I didn't going to make it, but all of a sudden I think, oh, so why did I fear? So the thing for me, it is we must start work on our fear for things we can't change. And that is the thing, it is look in the past and start working from it and say, well, I fear of my finances, and every month I'm going through, there's nothing wrong, and I still eat and I still sleep warm and everything. So why do I fear? So we must just work on the fear as well. And the last line there, I said, setting goals, because small, to make your life better and improve your health and happiness. So a goal is like I said, because small, you have a life goal, you have a goal to set at the end of the week, at the end of the day, and the goal is only to help you perform, to help you grow, to help you get to the end of the, to grow personally, and that is a goal. If you don't have goals, you will just float, you will just procrastinate, and nothing will happen, you will not grow. So for me, goals. So my last slide, and I want to finish with this slide, is what type of goals? Renewing your mind and thoughts. I think that is a thing that we must work on. You must grow by renewing your mind and your thought life. So we have spoken during this presentation about everyone's good or bad or whatever. So the thing is, you must renew your mind. You must start thinking otherwise and look and in retrospect what happened. So will you renew your mind on that specific things that happen. So for me, goals was change habits which make you depressed. And the thing that is a habit. The habit is watching the news, for instance. Stop reading the newspaper. That is a habit. I mean, you go 7 o'clock at night, you switch on the TV, you want to watch news. So it is not a bad thing, but if it starts to make you depressed, then you must stop it. So it is just a habit. So at that 7 o'clock, start to do something else instead of switching on the TV or whatever. So making yourself hot chocolate. So yeah, habits make you depressed. Stop reading the newspaper. Like I said, Nana, what I sometimes do, I read the app of the News 24, but then I can select. I just want to read this or maybe sport or whatever. So I don't read politics. For me, it is just a game. It is just a puppet show. Be more grateful. For me, it is very important. Grateful for what you have. Grateful for who you are. And start thinking about yourself. Grateful. Start loving yourself more. Start loving who you are more. And that is a important thing to when you start is to be more grateful for yourself. Try to do more than what is expected of you. And if you start doing that, and there's a law that said it is better to give than to receive, it will make you more happier. And I think it is how humans like interaction, and we must serve each other. So when you do more than what is expected from you, you will feel so much better. And the last line, and for me is very important, and we spoke about it in this presentation, is live for the moment. Candice, you can elaborate on that as well later, or now, or earlier in this presentation. I mean, live for the moment. So, yeah, it's a good thing. Wake up, get your mindset ready, or tune into yourself, tune into your environment, and tell yourself today's going to be a good day. Today's going to be, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be, so change your renewing your mind and your thought life. And yeah, and live for the moment. I mean, you don't know about yesterday's in the past. Tomorrow's in the future. You can't change tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen. So just live for the moment and enjoy the moment. So yeah, Candice, thank you very much. That is all from my side. It's a lovely time, you guys, with all, and I've enjoyed this presentation to help you, and I hope you get something out of this. And know that the COVID is only something that it is here with us, but how we live with it and how we grow out of it is our personal thing. So nobody will help us doing that. It's only a personal thing. So yeah, thank you very much.
That was awesome, Casper. Thank you very much. Thank you. I definitely got some nuggets out of there. I found my head bobbing up and down and like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm so happy. Yes.
Yeah. So no, thank you very much. And any feedback from you guys, Ibrahim, Louise?
Thank you very much again, Casper, and and himself also here. He also says thanks. Just let him put his phone on as well. Right with me.
Oh, cool. Hello. And
yes, hello. Yes.
And on my side, I just want to say it was such a nice, heartfelt presentation. I enjoyed it a lot. There's just one question I want to ask the whole group. If you guys can just tell me, how is it that you deal with your fears? Any fear that you have. And let's just say, let's talk about the pandemic fear, the fear of, let's just say, getting the virus and maybe dying. How do you guys deal with it to overcome that fear?
I think, Ibrahim, from my side is, I'm just thinking about, I think fear is in us. You get fear, and then you get fight or flight mode when you have fear. So you must decide, you're going to fight or you're going to flight. And freeze. The other one is freeze, sorry, yes. Fight, flight, or freeze. So that is the thing that comes up in my mind is what you're going to do with this. You're going to fight, you're going to flight, or you're going to freeze. And I mean, you must ask your heart, and you must think it through, the pros and the cons, and then you can decide from there. Can you do anything about that fear? Will it make your life not better or not worse? But I mean, how will it work? How will it work for you? If you get fear, like I said, about finances, getting you through the end of the month. I mean, if you don't have anything, there's a minimum on your balance. Just whatever, when you can do nothing about it. So why fear? And maybe a breathing exercise, stuff like that. So yeah, it's from my side.
Ibrahim.
Hi, it's Estelle speaking. It's Ibrahim, is it?
No. Yes.
Yes. Ibrahim, what I have found around fear, is the following. I think fear is and not knowing. It normally is born from not knowing. And so it's important to put yourself in a situation where you have as much knowledge as possible about whatever it is that you're feeling fearful about. And when you've got knowledge, you've got power. This whole COVID thing is very fear-based and very fear-driven from all sides. So the thing is that we have to become discerning about what it is that we let into our mind and respond to emotions. Because fear is future-based. It's something that not happen. So it's something that you're anticipating, and you can't possibly know whether it's going to happen or not happen. So it's best to remain in the moment where your point of power is. And to deal with whatever it is that you have to deal with from that point. Because if you put yourself into mode, you can't possibly know what will happen. It's like you haven't got a crystal ball. Nobody can know. So just
I
remain
understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying to be in the moment. However, what happens if you're going down a certain direction and you know you can see probably the future is dismal, or you're getting sicker, or you having this COVID, you being diagnosed with COVID, and and you are going down a certain direction. You can see the path that you are on, and you know that this path is now a very difficult path. How do you deal with that fear, knowing where you're going to be tomorrow? It's like you saying, in the moment, you don't know which way you're going to be tomorrow, but today a person's got COVID today, and tomorrow they're getting more sick. Their oxygen levels are dropping. They're looking for ventilation, and they can see that they're getting sicker by the moment, and they can see the direction in which they're going. How do you deal with it then?
That's what I'm saying. Is it's important for you to gather as much information as you can about the thing that you are having to deal with or that you are fearful of. Okay, so in the event of COVID, if you've been diagnosed with COVID, to find out as much as possible, what will the next step be? How do I go about treating that? Isn't necessary for me to make the decision to go into the hospital to have myself oxygenated. Do you hear what I'm trying to say? So the more information you have, the better you can plan for specific eventualities. Ibrahim?
I got you. Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. But, to step into fear and to immobilize yourself with fear, and as a result of that, your immune system is further compromised, it doesn't help. So that's why it's important for you to stay as calm as possible, to see what you can do and know what you can't do, and just still be, even though tomorrow you might just you in today. So deal today with what you can deal with today. If tomorrow comes and you're sicker, then tomorrow you deal with what tomorrow brings. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But I just wanted to hear more from how do you deal with that. But it's fine. I got what you're saying. You're giving us an idea of how to deal with it. But I just wanted to know personally how you deal with it personally. But it's fine. I got you.
This is how I personally deal with it. Okay, I do not allow my fear to overtake me, and take me into tomorrow when I don't even know what tomorrow is going to bring. It just loads you with more fear and more fear and more fear that incapacitates you. I always try to stay in the moment, okay, and look at what I can do from that point of power.
Okay. Thank you, Louise. You've been such a great help.
It's Estelle.
There's Estelle and Louise, so we've got they're just on the same line.
Okay, because I check Louise is bouncing up and down on my screen here. I thought Louise is doing all the talking.
No, they're on the same phone. They're just
Okay, sorry.
Abraham, it's a difficult one to answer in a sense, from my side, because my first question would be like, how does it serve me? Is it trying to protect me? Is it trying to? It's very situational. So one could be fearing death. There's various ways to deal with that. It's in cancer and all that everybody goes through